Hi, everyone. We're going to give it a few minutes for a couple more people to join. Hope you're all doing well today. Um, all right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. See how this goes. Can everybody see that? Great. So I want to thank you all for joining us for our second Talking with Your Pompe Peeps session. Today we're going to be talking about balancing Pompe, school, work, and life. How do you balance yours? And so it'll be more tips and tricks and more kind of an open session on how we all manage life. So to give you a little idea of my story, I kind of thought all of these different pictures were very applicable to my life. Um, it feels like I'm always juggling. I never have just one thing, one pot in the fire. It's always a balance of family, work, life. Um, and then, Pompeii decides to throw a wrench in your plans every so often. You can, have a great day and think, I've got all these things I need to do tomorrow. And then tomorrow you wake up and your back is out of whack. And it's like, well, I guess I'm gonna be pushing off these items. Um, feel like I spend a lot of time, and we'll get into this more later, also prioritizing. What is the most important thing to me each day to accomplish? What can wait? What, can't wait? A lot of times for me, family and my health are going to be top priorities with work right up there. Um, and then the little photo of the woman with all the arms. I wish I had that many arms. But uh, again, just kind of a little bit of how I see balance. You do your best. And then I think in terms of Pompeii, one thing I struggle with is not everybody understands, right? We may not always look sick or like we're having an issue, and um, it can be very challenging. So, for instance, the one up here that says, I fight for my health every day in ways most people don't understand. I'm not lazy, I'm a fighter. I had to throw SpongeBob, in there because my niece and nephew love him. But so you don't suffer from any chronic illness and you're not a doctor. Please give me more of your expert advice on how I can feel better. That is the story with a lot of my family. You should do this supplement. You should try this. Don't drink diet sodas. I'm like, okay. Really know. I'll talk to people who do. Um, and then just be more positive, right? Because being negative got me sick. And then this one's very true. You don't know fatigue until you've had your rest after taking a shower. I mean, on the days that I really want to wash my hair and take a shower, I have to plan for that. Um, and then 6 confessions of living with a chronic illness. I feel guilty. I do. I feel guilty that I can't do more or be more available to my nieces and nephews and family, or that I didn't do as much at work as I should have done. Um, that makes you feel like you're alone, that, you know, you've got to do it all. I do have pain a lot of the time. I don't always look sick. I'm in a wheelchair and I use, you know, my BiPAP 24/7, but I have family that I've only recently told about the level of pain I have some days and what I have to do to manage it. And they're all like, wow, didn't know any of that. And it's like, yeah, well, I don't necessarily tell everybody. Not all doctors understand. Boy, is that the truth. I think we've all experienced that. And then, I feel like a failure. Yeah. On days when you don't feel good and you don't get done what you set out to do, you do feel like you're not doing enough. And that leads us to it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be upset, angry, stuck, confused, lonely, hurt, cry. It's okay to not be okay. Above all, be kind to yourself and refuse to let negative feelings trigger you into waging war on yourself. And, some days are just harder. The final one I liked, it's okay to be less than perfect, to not be okay, to have bad days, to make mistakes, to be yourself, to do what's best for you. And then I don't know how many of y'all have heard of spoon theory, but it's something that I've heard about many times over the years, and it really does resonate with you, with me. The idea is basically you have so many spoons a day, say 12 spoons, and each activity you'll do during the day takes up a certain amount of spoons. So how are you going to allocate your spoons each day? How would you use your spoons today? How would you use them tomorrow? Can you save spoons for the next day? And I love the ones I saved my spoons to be here. When you save up your energy for something that's important to you and you go, you really are trying to be there when you can. And then sometimes it feels like every single spoon you have is broken. That's the one down at the bottom. But again, I think it's more, let's take it one spoon at a time. Do your best and you keep going forward. So then that gets us to how do you find balance? And these were again things that spoke to me. Want to do something today? Can't. I did something yesterday. Isn't that the truth sometimes? You do something and takes a lot out of you and you need a day to recover. The key is to not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. I think that's true too. If I know my nephew has a football game and I want to go see that, it's going to be a drive and it's going to take a while, I'm going to know I've got to save up energy for that. And so might take it easier during the day. And really, it's not just for us, right? I've got older parents and it's the same thing for them. They have to think about if they're going to that same football game, how far are they going to have to walk? Do they need to, take it easy the first part of the day? And then I love the one by Albert Einstein. Life is like riding a bicycle. And the meaning behind that is you have to keep pedaling. If you stop pedaling, you're going to fall. Just keep moving forward. We need to do a better job of putting ourselves higher on our own to-do list. And I'll be very honest, that's something I really struggled with a lot. In some ways, COVID helped because it made me stop. I was staying home and I reprioritized things like physiotherapy and taking care of myself. Whereas before it was just constantly trying to take care of others. And then life is all about balance. You don't always need to be getting stuff done. Sometimes it's okay and necessary to shut down, kick back, and do nothing. I think that's really true too, and it's something that I'm trying to incorporate into my life. And I mean, I think that might sound funny to some of y'all because I've been dealing with Pompe since I was 12, right? But sometimes you have to say, hold on, I'm not balancing as well as I should. I need to do a better job of prioritizing myself. And recently we had a family vacation, went to the beach. All I did for 3 days was sit on the porch, feet up, and read a book. That was fantastic. That's all I wanted to do. And it gave me that mental health break from everything else in life and just relaxing. Um, and then this is one of, the last slides. Let's be kind to ourselves. Be gentle with yourself. You're doing the best you can. Kindness is doing what you can, where you are with what you have. Talk to yourself like you would talk to someone you love. And you will never speak to anyone more than you speak to yourself in your own head. Be kind to yourself. And I think we all, and again, it's not just Pompe patients, right? Everybody in general could do a better job of being kinder to ourselves and giving ourselves some grace. And finally, I just want to say, you got this. We've all got this. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to need a break sometimes. But at the end of the day, we're tough and we got this. So that was kind of my, brief overview of how I view balancing Pompe work in school and the things that I try to incorporate. And I feel it sometimes too. Probably more often than I succeed. I don't have the balance I should. But that's sort of my approach and my feelings on life. But this is no concession. So I want to turn it back over to the group and say and ask, are there things that you specifically struggle with? Did any of the slides speak to you? And what are you struggling with now, or what do you think you're doing well? And everybody's being shy today. Come on, I know some of y'all, you're not shy.
I'll say the Einstein reference to life is like a bicycle, you got to keep pedaling. It's something that I feel like I should have heard by now, but I really, I'm glad that I did. It feels like that way sometimes. And just like, even if it's small steps some days, just still like, pick a direction and move.
Yeah, so that kind of goes to also the IPA had an awareness campaign called Every Move Counts. And it's sort of the same theory, right? You don't have to suddenly run a marathon, just keep moving forward, do a little something. And, even if it's sometimes you're having a really bad day, get dressed. Sometimes just the act of getting dressed can be an accomplishment and make you feel a little bit better. But do something. Any other thoughts? Ryan, what do you think you struggle with the most with the balance?
A lot similar to you. I think I take on a lot of things as well. And then I think also like my relationship with Pompe itself is something that I try to put a lot of emphasis on. Yes, Pompe is one of the set of headwinds or one of the set of factors in my life and all of our lives, but everything that you're describing, like people in different situations might describe the same thing, and kind of like trying to be careful not to look at the world as a hierarchy, like, oh, my problems are worse than theirs, or their problems are worse than mine. Try to have space for each person kind of coming into it with their own, whatever they feel is valid for them, and having space for that. And so, like, just um and by the same token, my own thing, like, not feeling down about Pompe, not feeling like Pompe happened to me, recognizing that it's, um, digging into the science has helped me quite a lot. But with that thing, but it's still something I work on, is, the brown hair that I have, or the freckles that I have on some in some places. All these things are actually all the same underlying cause as my Pompe, and that's my genetics, and so it's no different than that. It's just by sort of chance, some of the variants that I had happened to be in this place, and that causes this other consequence than brownness of hair or whatever. And it's something that's been with me the whole time. And so, like, you mentioned at the beginning, like, oh, you've been dealing with it since 12 years old. I think in conversations, sure, I was diagnosed at 31, but I've been dealing with it my whole life, whether I knew it or not. And so much about who I am is shaped by my experiences with it. And it's like, in a sense, I have this weird thing where I kind of like make it this character in my life. It's like, it's my longest and oldest friend aside from my family. It's the only one that's been there the whole time. And it's not meant to say like that I'm really happy with it all the time, or like some of the consequences of it, but it's equally a part of me as anything else. And that, like, again, I don't want to hate parts of myself. I want to find ways to appreciate that, and then because I can appreciate that in myself, I can also appreciate that in others, and or whatever they're going through, whether it's health related or otherwise. And vice versa. If I can find ways to have space and acceptance and care and compassion for others, then hopefully I can do it for myself too.
I think it's funny you say that, because I've been at least 17, and I was literally just having a conversation with her last weekend that, things happen to us in life, and there's things that you just can't control that are going to happen to you, like genetics. And how you approach it and how you deal with it. And like you said, accepting that it is part of who we are. And I oftentimes think, I'm not ever going to do the what if game, because who knows what if I didn't have Pompe. I know what is with Pompe. And besides the physical issue, I think about the amazing people and friendships I've made that I never would have had outside of the fact that I have Pompe, and how much value they give into my lives. And not even just always Pompe related, just, how cool is it to have friends around the world and be able to talk to somebody in Italy and the Netherlands and Australia and Taiwan, just at the drop of a hat, to say, hey, what's going on in your country? What are you up to? And I think that is just a really cool thing that I have developed, and I have because I have Pompe. So yeah, Joe, I've seen you shaking nodding your head a lot, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but what about you?
I just loved all your slides. They were great. They did. They resonated a lot. Like Ryan said, there was a lot of them that kind of hit me, kind of nice to see that and kind of be reminded that it's okay to not be okay. Because there's a lot of days we power through, and like you said, you try to plan your best, and I hate it when I don't plan, and I just feel like I fall apart for a couple days even after the fact of doing too much. Yeah. Yep.
I think one of the things I struggle with, and it goes back to some of my extended family, cousins and stuff, not really understanding, is because I feel like I do hide a lot of how I am physically feeling. You put on the mask, right? And we're not the only ones that do it, right? I know when my niece, I'm poor kid, I'm picking on her, but she's the oldest, so she gets it. She would get in the car after school, and my sister would be like, "You can't talk to her. She needs about 30 minutes to an hour to unwind. Just don't talk to her." Because she's put on a mask and she's been on her best behavior for all of these hours at school, and she just needs to decompress in her way. And I do the same thing. I notice sometimes that I will be putting on that mask for everybody around me, not letting on to how crappy I may feel that day. But I show it to like my mom, and she gets the brunt of it, and she sees the true me and how I really feel, because I don't, I just, I don't want to burden others with it. You know, especially when I've got 4 nieces and nephews. I've got 2 that are older and 2 that are very young. The young ones, I don't let them see how bad I feel. I feel like I'm protecting them from that. I mean, they know I'm in a wheelchair. They know, again, I use the respirator, I need the lift, I can't walk. We've had all those conversations. But I don't let them see the extent of pain I may feel or tiredness. The older 2 are now 17 and 14. And with them, I am starting to let them see some of the reality, because I think that is important. Because I do feel guilt a lot of the times where, you know, I just don't feel like I can make it to an event or to something because I've had a really crappy day. My sister's great. She understands all that. We talk very openly about it, but at the same time, I want the kids to know I'm always here for you. I just may not be able to be there in person for you.
I hide it all the time, so I understand
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. Especially, I'm still caught a little bit with clients. I still sell real estate, and so I try to schedule things when I'm gonna be feeling good, and I don't want them to have any doubts in me.
Mhm.
But it's really getting tough. It has been really getting tough the last couple of years. But I'm just hanging on with people that love me for who I am and want to do business with me and just keep moving forward.
So I would say, and y'all all see the Tiffany that is an open book. That's not who I've always been. And I think that maybe that will help you to know that. Like I said, I was diagnosed at 11. I was in the middle of 7th grade, 6th grade, 6th grade. And middle school is one of those weird things where they put you in randomly with kids, and I didn't have any close friendships, so I didn't tell anybody. It was more school friends, and I didn't know how. I had to start homeschooling the next year because of health. And so from that point, I was really, with people that were older than me that knew, family members, friends of my sister and brother, and it just really did not come up. Even using a BiPAP, like for years, I didn't let anybody see me with my mask on. It was something really, really private to me. That's all gone. I don't care anymore. It is what it is. But that was not a quick thing. That was probably in my 20s. So it took a decade, I would say. A wheelchair. I should have been in a wheelchair a lot sooner than I was, but it was a mental thing. When we moved to the Netherlands, my mom just got one. And thank God she did. Never would have been able to navigate. I was getting weaker, and it's much less accessible overseas than it is in the US. And I loved it because all of a sudden I was not limited to my physical limitations. We did things, we saw things. I saw parts of the country that I wouldn't have seen otherwise. Um, but even when I came back home and I was in college, nobody I think outside of a couple of advisors knew anything about what I was dealing with. I was just a girl in the wheelchair. They didn't ask, I didn't tell. Did get a little complicated when I was in People magazine, and I had some friends see it and they're like, why didn't you tell us? And I'm like, I don't know, just how do you talk about that? I had a few breakthrough moments. One of them was with a really good friend now. We grew up together. So she knew. We never talked about it. Our parents were really good friends, so she knew what was going on. And she was pre-med and did a paper on Pompe and started asking me questions. And then from there, again, pre-med, wanted to be a doctor. She was cool with helping me shower and stuff. So we would go to the beach together with a group of friends. She went with me to Boston once. And that was like a huge breakthrough. Something very big for me and for her and for my parents and for my family. But yeah, I think sometimes things happen at the right time in the right way. Now I'm work with people that know, they've known me most of my life. But yeah, it is sometimes one of those things where people don't want to ask why you're in a wheelchair. And it's not always an easy thing to say, hey, you want to know why I'm in a wheelchair? I mean, that would be weird, right? So it comes out, I think, more organically than that. But at the same time, it has helped me for people to understand more of my situation. And when I am more open with them about, I am having a bad day, then I think it makes them realize, oh, it's not just she's in a wheelchair. She does have other things going on. So it's very hard to start that conversation. But then once you do, in the long run, it helps, I think.
I'm curious, when you started talking about it with your friends, did that feel like you weren't having to hide part of yourself, or like maybe hiding was never your intention, but it felt sort of more free to be yourself, all of yourself? I only ask because that's something that resonates with me for sure. Like the more I find I'm willing to be open about just honestly what it is, even if I'm afraid they might not, whatever they might think about my BiPAP, or whatever they might think about the way I walk, or talking about genetics with the girl that you're going to try to date.
Right.
Being able to, I feel more comfortable with who I am, with my relationship with Pompe, with myself, if I can do that, which was not expected for me.
Right. No, I agree with you. I think that it does make you feel more comfortable with a lot of things. I think I'm still very private about certain things. For instance, the amount of pain I sometimes have. Jules has been working with me, and so have Marcia, for years, and I think they only recently found out when I was telling them some things. So, it's a line, right? You don't want to do the constantly saying, poor me, this is what's going on. That's not what any of us are or want to do. But at the same time, allowing others to see it's hard. It's not okay. These are problems I have. I think helps. Ryan, you were asking specifically about friends and stuff. I think it depends for me on the person and the situation. So again, I mentioned my best friend. And she has done things in my life where I don't think she realizes how much of an impact it meant to me. For instance, when she was looking for her first apartment, um, she was staying in San Antonio, going to med school here, and she just mentioned offhand that she was looking at 2 or 3 places, but they all had to have ground floor apartments. She wasn't considering anything that was not ground floor, because then it'd be harder for me to visit. And she just said it like offhand, no big deal. Like, this is the thing she was considering. she was also considering safety, and she and her boyfriend would go to the places at like 1 a.m. and make sure it was a safe location. So she mentioned that, and then the one story, and I'm like, that meant a lot. And I don't know that she knows how much that meant. Um, but it's because she knew me and she knew my limitations. And so, yeah, I think it really helps in some ways. But at the same time, when I was in law school, I think two people knew a handful of what I went through. I really wasn't very open about it with most of them. They had a general idea about Pompe and my advocacy work and things like that, but not the level it affects me. One person that knows more, she was recently diagnosed with very severe rheumatoid arthritis. And so we're able to talk about overcoming situations through that. So, but I think she felt comfortable coming to me to talk about it because she did know about my Pompe. So it's all a balance. But yeah, Ryan, I would agree it strengthens relationships.
And I think also, like you said, the balance, like I, one of the things that I've been so sensitive about is making sure that I'm more than Pompe, and like, especially dealing with, as funny as it sounds, like people in the Pompe space, like specifically like maybe pharmaceutical companies or these kinds of things. I know that there's good humans there, but like so much of the interaction is specifically built around this one particular slice, not even of just that I have Pompe, but like one particular perspective of what it is like to have Pompe. And it's like being fed this idea that like, okay, well, I don't think anybody's doing this against us, but it feels like your value is in this particular narrative we'd like out of you. And that's something that I don't, for my view on society, my role in society, I don't want, I want to be a whole person. This is not something I'm hiding, but I'm a whole person as well. And then also for my own self, I don't want to, if I spoke up or even allowed myself to think about every challenge or limitation that I faced, it would become challenging and limiting. I feel like it's a slippery slope in some sense. So it's like, how do I be honest with those things while also staying, kind of having this resiliency that I think I'm really proud of and happy with. That is something that I started building because of my Pompe, probably before I even knew it. Yeah, and then to the last point you just made there, like one of the other really cool things, another unintended thing that has come with being sort of trying to be a little bit more open and honest with things, is creating space for others to then share things that are scary for them. And that part has been so kind of rewarding, that people like have a confidence and comfort coming to you that you didn't realize was anything, but it meant the world to them because they've been hiding it, and they've been hiding these secrets on their closet shelf too, and they're not anything that they should be hiding. They're not something that they should be ashamed of. They're perfectly fine things.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of the quotes that I found as I was putting this presentation together spoke to me, because they apply to everyone, right? Yes, they really speak to us, but they apply to anybody at any point. It's okay to not be okay. Now, is it okay to blame others? No, but it's okay to not be okay and to say, I'm not okay today. And to ask for things from other people. Oh my gosh, that is one of the hardest things I've had to overcome. And I will admit, my mom and I still struggle with it. It's letting other people help you, right? Or asking for help. It is so hard to do that. You want to do everything yourself, I can do it. But at a certain point, it's dumb. It's like, if it's going to take me 2 spoons to wheel across the house to get a Dr. Pepper, and it's going to take somebody else no spoons, why should I use up my spoons? Right? And I remember traveling with my mom she's older, and it got to the point where she was still trying to transfer me in and out of the airport aisle chair. I'm like, Mom, they got two people right here who are trained to do this. It's their job. You're gonna have to transfer me when we get to our destination. Move out of the way and let them help. And so even with my sister, we were trying to do something in the car the other day, and she kept, well, let me try this, and Andrew was like, Mom moves and moves her out of the way and just got it done. And if you've met my sister, you can understand how that went down. But it's hard to not have that I have to do everything myself mentality. And we can't, it's okay to ask Jules to help me with things, to ask Marcia, to ask Matt, and say, I need help with this. This is, I've got the gist of it, but can you help me get it over the finish line? So I should have put that slide out there. It's okay to ask for help. So, Kevin, I'm going to call on you because I know you too, and you're being quiet. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
I just think a lot of time I relate it to walking a tightrope all the time. I do a lot, and I feel a bit guilty doing what I need to do. So one day I go swimming, and that takes up 2 hours, and that's after I've worked all day, so I don't get back to that time in the evening. And then the next day I'm on the rower and my squat machine, and that takes another hour. So my wife don't see me very much. So I feel a little bit guilty from that point of view, because I work from about 7 to 6. I mean, I go off and do my stuff. So, but I feel guilty if I don't do it, because I know if I don't do it, I will stop doing it. So I need the routine, keep the routine going, otherwise you won't do it. You see what I mean? Can you see that? That's kind of, well, it works for me. If I was just do it on odd occasions, then I probably wouldn't hardly do it. So I've got to do this one thing after another. But I must admit, on this new drug, I can do this. On the previous one, on my side, there's no way I could have done what I'm doing now. So I'm truly grateful for the advances. But you just got to push yourself to do it, sort of thing. So yeah, and it's we've been good rewards, but when I first got, well, I was self-diagnosed, but when I went there and I asked them about rehab, they just looked at me blankly, and they've done that ever since then. So I've always looked at doing anything for myself is through me and through the network that you've generated and everybody else has generated. I get a lot of information from there. I'm extremely grateful for that. But I always think that I'm really mainly responsible for my own well-being, and that's all part of a tightrope. And the other part of it, when I go walking, I'm still quite forced out. I'm going walking in the woods and things like that. But I've got to be so careful. I'm always looking down. I'm never looking around at the scenery. I'm looking down to see what I'm walking on, and I don't want to slip over, because if I slip over, I hit the ground quite quickly. I can't stop myself, so and that can be quite painful. So that's the tightrope, I would tell you. And even just walking to the gym from the car, if it's been raining, I've got to be so careful that I'm not stepping on anything too slippery. If I know it's there, it's okay, but it's when you're not paying attention that's when you slip. So again,
Mhm.
bit of a tightrope, I'm saying, sort of thing. But yeah, so
Yeah.
that's why I feel like I've got a fairly positive point of view. I am what I am, and explains a lot of things, especially my speech problems when I was a kid. And yeah, it's what you are, and you just got to make the most of it. That's the way I look at it. So there's a lot I can do about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, keep myself fairly good. So I know, Ryan, you come on board.
Kevin, I liked what you said though, or it resonated with me about the guilt. You feel you work a full day and then you feel like there's all the things you need to do at home or with, family. And I think that's so true.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody really understands how hard simple is.
Yeah.
And, everybody understands, if you're running a marathon, that's hard. But for us, sometimes walking down the street can be challenging.
Yeah.
And it's the level of thought and planning and time and care we have to put into everything we do that creates its own exhaustion, right? I don't remember when I said this, but it was recently. And it was, say somebody wants to go out to dinner. And I have to think about, okay, what time, what am I doing that day? What am I doing the previous day? Is the restaurant accessible? How far away is it? How many batteries do I need to take from my ventilator? And it's all of these thoughts that go through my head before I can say yes or no. It's
Yeah.
not just, last minute, sure, let's jump in the car and go to the beach for the weekend. It is, I compare it to military planning organization, right? You have to put in all of this thought to everything you're doing so that
Yeah.
you can't do certain things. And I think that mental game, and game isn't the right word, but that mental process we have to go through can be really exhausting in its own way.
Yeah, it's like when I go into a room and I'm looking for places to sit down. I'm always thinking about how I'm going to get up from where I'm going. I don't want it in the middle of nowhere where I've got nothing to actually push up on or so that's and when I book tickets at a theatre, I always try and find seats that are going to be a lot easier for me to actually get up from, sort of thing, or get into, sort of thing. So yeah, it's all part of the process, and I like to map my route there and back, so it sits in my head. So what I'm going to do, it's very unlike me to just go on and just go off and be blasé about what I'm going to do. I almost got to plan it before I do it, so I know what I'm going to be doing, sort of thing. So just puts a little bit of security in my head, I suppose. I don't know whether anybody else does that, but that's what I tend to do.
It's funny, not funny, haha, but ironic. I was in a family member's wedding a decade or so ago. And I remember thinking, oh, I really don't want to do this, but okay. And then I hope she doesn't see this now. But I remember specifically when they knew where they were having it, that I asked, is it going to be accessible? And they're like, yeah, it's fine. It'll be good. It'll be fine. So the day of the wedding, we were all supposed to show up, get ready and everything together. And I get there, everybody's sitting ready upstairs. And I'm downstairs. And there's no elevator. And I remember thinking, and this was a family member that had been around me for a very long time, knew I was in a wheelchair. It's not like I shocked them. But I mean, we managed to make it work. The groomsmen carried me up, the bridesmaids carried me down. I was much lighter then, so it worked out. But yeah, it was things like that where not everybody thinks about the really obvious, right? And side to that, my sister, gosh, probably 20 years ago now, I don't know, dislocated her knee. And not that it's funny, but it gave her a completely different perspective on my life. Because she dislocated her knee, and so for a couple of weeks, she couldn't walk on it. She couldn't stand. She was using one of my extra wheelchairs. And she's like, yep, nope, I did it now. I did all those things you're talking about. I did how annoying this is. I did, oh gosh, this is me being a complete open book. I get how bad it is when you have a wedgie and you can't stand up and fix it. Because I now completely understand all of that. And it came from a dislocated knee. So she healed from it, but that stuck with her. Having to kind of live that experience and just absolutely not having the option of really standing up and moving, just she was in so much pain. So sometimes it takes something like that for those around us to truly understand. Not that I wish a dislocated knee on anybody else, but I mean, it did help our relationship and it helped that understanding. She's gonna kill me for telling that story, but oh well. Hi Vanessa, how are you? Oh, you're still on mute.
There it is. Hey, good. I'm sorry I'm late. I had another call I couldn't get finished with. But I'm here.
Yay.
Good
So
to see everybody.
do you have any tips and tricks for us on how you manage to balance it all and how you deal with guilt of not doing everything you want to do?
Wow. I try to look on the positive side. As you know me well enough, I don't look for the negatives, I look for the positives. Try to stay super active. In the morning, I have tons of energy. I mean, just through the roof until probably 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I start winding down. So I try to plan most of the activities I do in the morning, and then the afternoon kind of leave
Change
it
time
up.
in the morning. Very,
What?
very early times in the morning.
Well, it's because we're 3 hours apart, so for
Yeah,
you it really wouldn't be that bad. But
you're still up at 3 a.m. and doing crazy, getting after it. You're built different.
yeah, when 3 a.m. I'm texting you. Do you remember so and so? But yeah, my energy level is better in the morning than the afternoon.
And I find that funny because I have always hated mornings.
Yeah.
As an adult, I sucked it up and I get done what I gotta do because I'm a big girl and I'll do it. But if I had the preference, afternoons all day long. In fact, and we didn't really get into the school life balance, but starting in college, I never took a class before 10 a.m.
No.
And I went to night school for law school. So it was not unusual for me to be up till 1 a.m. and then sleeping till, 11, 12. And I just, yeah, mornings are not my jam.
Isn't that funny how we're all built so differently, wired differently? Even before my diagnosis, when I was working full time, I was still the same way. I'd be in the office by 5 or 6 a.m. just getting stuff taken care of when it was quiet before the office.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody came in. I would rather be there early and get things done.
See, I wait till everybody leaves and then I get everything done.
Same thing. Need some peace and quiet. Good to see everybody.
Can I
Debbie,
come and see me?
yes.
I'm gonna get my head around this whole Zoom thing. I was only diagnosed 3 years ago. Because I was diagnosed in 2014 with muscular dystrophy. And I am really, really finding it hard to deal with this. I've been quite suicidal, in fact. That's how bad it's been. I'm having counselling. I'm just trying to deal with trying to accept what's going on with me. And the fact that I have 3 children. I'm a single mum. My youngest is 13. And what I could do with my 21-year-old, I can't do with my 13-year-old. And I'm just slowly watching my body not being able to do what it wants to do. And also, I find it hard, like meeting people. Ryan touched on it. Meeting the opposite sex. It's put me off because of my illness. It's just affected me so badly. I just feel like I'm not me anymore. So I'm on here because I'm a newbie, and I just need to talk and get some perspective on this, because I've not wanted to be around, because I don't know why it's done this to me, but I've lived all my life being okay, and then suddenly this hits me. I actually fell out of my front door this morning. I mean, I really hurt myself as well. It's things are starting to happen that I just can't relate to.
Where are you located, Debbie?
I hope we didn't steer you away. I've been quite blunt. I hope I didn't steer you.
No. I mean, I've really, all these things have happened. I don't know if any of you can relate to this, but when I was first diagnosed, I became a bit of a recluse. I get very anxious now about going outside, so I always want someone to come with me. I've really affected my life. I was before that a very sociable person. I would be the bungee jumper, the person climbing things. I was very adventurous. So it's like it's stolen my life, because I'm not that person now. And because I'm older, I've had a whole life of being able to do those things, and now suddenly I can't. And that's the point I'm at.
Hey, Debbie.
Hello.
I'm the patient advocate for the AMDA. I'll get your email and I'll email you. I think that I don't have Pompe disease, but I lost my husband and I don't like to go outside. I don't do anything. I mean, it's a different situation, but I feel like that we have a lot in common as far as total lifestyle change, But anyway, I can help you as far as getting you more information and connected with the Pompe side, because I worked for the AMDA for 21 years now. So, so yeah, you're not by yourself. I will email you. Okay.
In really help listening to everybody, because obviously they're all very, it's all very, very relatable to what I'm going through. I think some of the hardest things I find is, at the moment, although I walk with the gait waddle that you do, and I can walk still, I get a lot of problems with the way people treat me. For instance, if I've got a blue badge, I don't know if do you have blue badges in America?
Is that like the handicap sticker?
Sorry?
Is that like the sticker so you can park wherever you want?
It's yeah.
Okay.
And I can get out of the car and I have people approach me and say, you're in a blue badge area. It's only when they see me walking that they can see the problems. And so that becomes it. I just think people are so ignorant and so rude, and that's the process that I'm going through at the moment, is how people treat me. So yeah, as you can see, I'm struggling.
I could tell you stories. My mom.
Yeah, I'm just not me anymore. That's what I'm finding hard. So I've kind of put a thing on everything else now. Like Ryan was very positive, and I'm so sorry, because I'm the person that I'm the Debbie Downer now.
No,
I'm the Debbie Downer.
You're not.
You're just regular Debbie, and you're going through it like we all have, and we're all here to share with you stories if it makes you laugh, if it helps you feel community, if you want to see some scars and all those kinds of things too. Whatever helps, like what you're experiencing, some version of it, us on the call and others that Marcia can help connect with, and each of us can help you connect with,
Yeah,
it can help you. Yeah.
Debbie, I would say also understand that, you know, like me, I sometimes stop and go, okay, I'm 41, almost 42, and I've been dealing with this since I was almost 12. It's more of my life has been with Pompe than without. So don't try to compare yourself to those of us who had to deal with it for so much longer. I mean, like I said, it took me 15 years before I let anybody see me with a BiPAP on. It took me 5 or 6 years before I realized I had to use a wheelchair and then would let people see me. So it is a process for every one of us, and we all go through it differently. And I'll be honest, I have a dark humor sometimes. And so I may make inappropriate comments to my sister that make us laugh. And it's just, you know, it's how we all cope. I cope by just, I'm not very sarcastic and blunt about everything.
Hey,
And
Yeah, I
Tiffany.
mean, I think I can relate to you know, not being able to do things like the gentleman talking about the fear of falling over and things like that. And there's been a few occasions where I've got caught out. I love animals, so I went to stroke a dog, and suddenly I thought, my God, I can't get up. And it's like, how do I get up? This is embarrassing, you know. So I've now started to say to people, I love your dog, but unfortunately I can't stroke him. And they look at me like, that's weird. And I have to say, I have problems with my back. You know, I'm not going to explain the whole Pompe thing to them. But like I say, it's taken that, what I would normally do, away from me, I guess. And I'm having counselling at the moment to try and look at how I look at this, to try and look at it in not such a negative way. And look at it, you can't look at it positively, I don't think, but to try and, you know, embrace it. And one of the things that someone did say to me, which I thought was brilliant, is instead, I don't like going around saying I'm fed up or I'm unhappy, whatever, because it sounds boring. You know, it's not nice to keep hearing. And she said, well, say you're okay, but it's the illness that's not. And then you're detaching yourself from it. And I thought was a really good. So I tend to say that now, and it really helps. But yeah, it's been really, really difficult.
I would
Really.
say that one thing that helped me is not so much focusing on what I can't do, but I focus on what I can. So I mentioned I've got 4 nieces and nephews. They've only ever known me in a wheelchair, so that's their reality with me, and that's fine. And I can't be the aunt that picks them up and takes them shopping or for ice cream, but they can come to my house and we can have special things we do, like a special show that I share with each of them, or special ways of playing and joking around. I remember, you know, and texting them, just whatever it is. It's my way of having a close relationship. It may not be everybody's way. And so that was kind of one of the things I tried to focus on, what I can do, not what I can't, I guess, and that you just have to, I mean, another example is, again, I mentioned my mom a lot. With my 2 older nieces and nephews, she was very active with them. She was, you know, 10 years younger. So it was a lot easier to take them and do things and all that. And the 2 younger ones, she's like, I'm tired, but I just don't have the energy to play with them in the way I used to.
Is that generally something that everyone suffers with Pompe? Because it's something that I'm discovering, but it's not something talked about much in England. Well, the people that I've spoken to, is that a general feeling that everyone gets? Is that something?
You mean the fatigue?
Fatigue, yeah. Does everyone suffer from fatigue?
They're the group at Erasmus has a patient-reported outcome survey that's been done for over 20 years, and they actually have published papers on fatigue and pain in Pompe. And it is an underreported symptom. And if you think about it, it's because things like breathing or just standing up and moving are harder for us than other people. And
Yeah.
so that's why it's, oh, be kind to yourself. We are different. We have our own issues. And so I think we need to be kind to ourselves and not compare ourselves to others. Social media to me has been a good thing and a bad thing. For instance, it's great to make these connections with each other, but it sucks when you're in your 20s and you see everybody going out and doing all this stuff, and you're like, I have the energy to go to school, and that's it. I don't have the energy to go out at night every night. That's just, I never did. And it does affect relationships. But over time, I found that the best relationships are ones that were created beyond that. Like through that, those limitations, you still have those connections, right? And it's hard to develop them sometimes. I was lucky that mine was with a friend I grew up with, but we were not friends growing up. It was, our parents are friends, you'd see each other, and that was it. It was adults that we became friends. And she made everything easier for me in accepting, I think. So, but yeah, that happened in my 20s. It didn't happen right away.
I'm so sorry. My volume's going. I might have to get one of my children to go and sort it. Ella, where's the volume on this, love? It's not working.
I was gonna say, Marcia, if you'd like to connect Debbie and I, you're welcome to do so. I'd love to chat with her sometime. If you have all my
It might be my audio because it's been on and off throughout. But
Yeah, sorry, I lost my volume. My young girl came just didn't help me. I tell you what, I'm so thick when it comes to
you're doing great.
I would have gone if it weren't for them, you'd have probably been seeing the living room, not me, for most of it, because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Debbie, are you going to the conference in November? The ADSD one?
Oh, in the United Kingdom?
Yes.
Where is that then, Kevin?
That's going to be in Loughborough. I don't know how close you are to Loughborough.
To where?
Loughborough, near Nottingham.
Oh gosh, no, I'm all the way down south.
Are you?
I'm in Wiltshire.
Wiltshire. Oh, well,
Yeah.
that's not that far.
Quite a different, but interestingly enough, I'm recognizing some voices. I don't know if any of you are part of the Stellas group panel that are doing tests and things.
Mhm.
I've got a feeling you might be, Tiffany House. Tiffany.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so because I am too, and I recognized your voice.
Same, yes.
Yeah. Yes, I've been. I don't know whether they're trying to take my mind off things by just enrolling me, but I'm in so many panels. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. So it's amazing how many people contact you. I'm getting contacted from all over the place. I suppose in some ways that's quite nice because you're unique, aren't you? You're different. So that's interesting, doesn't it? If I'm going to have something, I might as well have something really unique.
There you go, right?
Yeah. How many people? I mean, that's the other thing is that that you probably get the same, but I don't think. I think it seems to be more well known in America, but in England, Pompe disease. If I say Pompe disease, they go Pompe. No, Pompe disease. They have no idea, and they don't know what muscular dystrophy is either.
No, I think in the US, muscular dystrophy is understood because of the AMDA and that whole situation. And I'll be honest with you, I usually, when I meet somebody new or they ask what's going on, I say I have Pompe disease. It's a form of a muscular dystrophy. Oh, okay, now I understand.
Yeah.
Or if they see my BiPAP, I'm like, it's like a CPAP. Oh, okay, now I understand. Because
Yeah.
people are familiar with CPAPs. People are more familiar with muscular dystrophy.
Mm.
So,
I agree that that's easier, and I revert to it sometimes too. But it's like one of the things that frustrates me the most, because it's definitely not a muscular dystrophy, and like thinking that it is great for like relating it to that is great for talking to other people. But like when medical professionals or people who are researching it, who need to know that it is a different thing and need to know that like what the differences are, when they don't realize that part, I think leads to sort of divergent research or divergent thinking around the thing. So it's like I agree with Tiffany. It's like it's a great, like almost like a mnemonic in a sense. Like it's like it's a relatable item.
yeah,
It's like similar to.
And it works especially well with those that you're really never going to have an actual conversation with about Pompe. Like,
It affects me similarly to how a muscular dystrophy might affect somebody.
yeah,
yeah.
like TSA at the airport, I'm never going to try to explain to them what a BiPAP is. CPAP, it's not oxygen. Oh, okay, we're good.
I don't use it because I snore. I use it because you know, if
Yeah,
it is
that
like more
yeah.
important than that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. These are all sounding familiar things that you're all saying. Because I use a BPAP as well, and I just get my head around that was a nightmare. But anyway,
Well,
I'm talking to someone who's very new, so you'll just have to get used to it. You know, I'm probably saying things you were all thinking years ago, whatever. But yeah, it is difficult. But anyway, I'll get used to it.
just remember, you got this.
Oh yes, I wondered what you were doing then. I thought my phone was going funny again. Yeah, you're right.
You got this. I mean, we really all do, and believe me, we've all been where you are, and
Yeah.
struggling, and very honestly, I still struggle.
Yeah.
There are things that, you know, I really, really want to be able to do, places I want to go, and the reality of traveling just not being an option anymore.
Mm,
And
mm,
it's very upsetting to miss out on things that in any other circumstance I would be doing. So I
yeah.
think that, you know, please don't misunderstand that my presentation, I'm always like this. I'm not. I get really mean. I get depressed. I have my days. I mean, I think everybody does, right? It would be really weird to be happy 100% of the time, I think. I still think that's normal, but that's me. Anyway, but I just want you to know that you're not alone. We've all
No.
been there, and we all still go back there sometimes.
Mhm.
It's about, you know, just continuing to pedal that bicycle.
Yeah. I mean, have any of you felt those moments of, oh, can I do this anymore? Yeah. Yeah. I was just curious because, you know, it's a simple thing sometimes that they're so frustrating. You know,
Oh,
I was out in the garden and I picked a dead leaf off the plant again. I got stuck trying to get up again. Yeah, it's just getting used to the different things, isn't it? And knowing what you can do. I think that's for me is knowing what my capabilities are still. I'm still learning.
well, and I think you're going to always learn. It's something that constantly changes for us, right?
Mm,
We don't have to deal with just getting weaker because of age. We have our disease to deal with, and for me, one day I might be fine, and then the next day I do deal with quite a bit of pain, and there's no why. It just Russian roulette, I guess. I don't know. Something happens in the middle of the night and somebody sticks a pin in a voodoo doll. I'm really not sure, but you know, you have your good days and your bad days. And I think for sure we all go, it's not fair. And have your moment of, you know, just acknowledging this sucks. It is
mm,
fair, but we can overcome it. we can get through it, and we just have to continuously adapt and keep going. And I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that?
Yeah. Do you know, I've got one. I do that. I have things and then I don't use them. I know that would make my
But
life.
you don't need one. You need about 10.
Yeah.
And you need to put them all over your house. And then when you drop one, you use the other one to pick it up.
Yeah.
I have them in every room of my house. They're a lifesaver.
Mm. Mm.
But we are probably a bit over time, but I have really appreciated all of you, and really hope that this has been helpful, and it is being recorded, so if you want to share it with others in our community, it'll be up on the AMDA website, and I hope it helps a lot of people. And Debbie, you're not alone. Reach out
Well,
to
I
any
just
one
wanted
of
to
us.
say thank you very much, and to thank you for the people that have been messaging me whilst we've been talking as well. I really appreciate that, and nice talking to you, Kevin. It's in my country. It's nice to hear there's someone else that's got what I've got, and nearby, well, not nearby, he's the other end of the country, but anyway, because a lot of people don't handle it very well and don't want to talk to other people about it. I don't actually know anyone within my area that actually has it other than me. So it's it's quite difficult actually. So it's nice to talk to a fellow Englishman. And it's
Well,
nice to talk to all of you as well, but it's just nice to know that there's someone else and you
yeah.
can relate. Yeah.
And that's why if you could make a conference, you will meet a lot of people there.
Yeah.
And there'll be talks about Pompe, and it's the sort of the integration with the other Pompe people that
Yeah.
is really good, sort of thing. And as well as the talks as well. But I would recommend that, because I didn't really get my head around it until I went to conferences, and we used to have something called the GSD net, and that was very good as well.
Yeah.
It's defunct now, unfortunately. But,
Okay.
Well,
Well,
and
nice-
then, yeah, thank you all so much. And I've really enjoyed talking to all of you and everybody being open to sharing their experiences. I think, we learn a lot from each other. So I think with that, we're gonna close it for today, and everybody, please be on the lookout for our next Talking with your Pompe Peeps session. If you have any suggestions for a topic, give us a shout out.
Okay.
And we appreciate you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.